Ladies and gentlemen, welcome. You are listening to DJ Sodza live on Zimnet Radio.
Join DJ Sodza and his informative team live every Thursday at 9 p.m. UK time, discussing Zimbabwean politics.
Make the whole world know about your business. Advertise with Zimnet Radio. Email marketing@zimnetradio.com.
It is a Thursday, and you know what that means. It's a men's corner show with yours truly, DJ Sodza.
Zimbabwe, thank you so much for choosing Zimnet Radio, and also for being with us here tonight. It's 5 minutes gone after the hour of 10. If you're out there and you want to participate on the show, please do participate. We would like to hear your thoughts as well. Today we are discussing vote rigging in Zimbabwe. Because a lot of people were asking that DJ atina kuzopedzisa nyaya yevote rigging that we started the other week. So today we want to talk about vote rigging. Does it prevail in Zimbabwe? Do we have any vote rigging in Zimbabwe? If yes, can you please tell us some of the details that you know that are happening in Zimbabwe, that you think it is a way of vote rigging? Because we don't want to know there's vote rigging, we want evidence for it. Is there any evidence that there is actually vote rigging? Who is rigging, by the way? Those are some of the questions that we want to explore today. So if you're out there and you want to participate, you can get in touch with me per WhatsApp, but please do not call on that WhatsApp number. No calls at all. You can just send your messages on that WhatsApp, and I can share with the group, with the panel here, and also the people listening out there. Now my WhatsApp number is 0798 445 349. That's 0798 445 349. Ndatenda zvangu regai ndichingamidze vatinawo nasunoyu. Mukoma Wilbert, welcome to the show.
Thank you very much. Hello, good evening everybody. Good evening fellow Zimbabweans, wherever you are. Welcome to the show.
Thank you so much, Mkoma Wilbert. Mkoma Benford, welcome to the show.
DJ Sodza makadikwe.
Tinofara chose kuri seiko kunobviro.
Kuno kuri nanewo.
Aiwa, tinotenda, we thank God for that. Mkoma Jeff, welcome to the show.
Thank you very much. Thank you very much. Good evening, everybody. Hope we are all well.
Aiwa, thank you so much. How are you coping down south with the heat? Mkoma Jeff.
Hello. Oh, sorry. I'm actually in the north. I'm in
the north.
In Birmingham.
Oh, okay. I thought you were a southerner.
No. Birmingham.
Okay. Yeah. How are you coping with the heat there?
It is good. I like the heat. I don't like cold, and I don't want to wear heavy. So this is my weather. Quite comfortable. Thank you.
Okay, thank you so much. Sally, welcome to the show.
Good evening, DJ Sodza. Good evening, Wilbert. Good evening, Elliot. Good evening, Benford. Good evening, Jeff. And good evening, Zimbabweans, wherever you are. I hope that you're having a good evening and that you will join us on the show.
Yeah, Sally, I know that you have got very good relationship with Sekuru. I'm sure he's running away from the show because remember when the World Cup started, we did a bet here.
No, don't you fight with my Sekuru, okay?
No, we did a bet, didn't we?
I have contacted my Sekuru and he's going to be late getting home.
Okay.
He's only going to get home at 11 o'clock. So don't you start fighting with my Sekuru.
All right, that's fine, because what he said was, I said, can everyone give two teams that they think they are going to win the World Cup, and he gave Spain and Germany here. So, I just wanted to say commiseration to him.
Oh my God.
Thank you so much. Mukoma Elliot Pepe, welcome to the show.
Maswara DJ Sodza maswara vedare memori yeZimbabwe kwese kwamori ikoko kunonge right.
Titigaiwa tinotenda chose. I know that you've got other commitments that you want to go and do later on tonight, so you're not going to be here for the duration of the show. So maybe let me start with you there. Is there any vote rigging in Zimbabwe?
Yeah, you find good. I would say for the past 2 decades, we have documented my irregularities based on factual recording, factual witness. Let me just give you a rundown here, possible my vote rigging. Ever since then, I can actually then zoom down to current situation so far as we prepare for the elections on the 30th of July.
Yeah.
You find, firstly, sometimes we find that voters will be denied the right to vote deliberately. Even if mazitawa aripo, my presiding officers, first won't get a run through what your name is not there. Okay? And then people sometimes, because of the frustration, one of our end. So you get such a situation as well. Then you find voters without proper ID allowed to vote. You get that irregularities and all these ZANU PF was used in the past. Then voters with the traces of ink allowed to vote. Now, this was the case in 2013. In 2013, for your own information, they go to yes, panga pa ine ink here. Asipa apasina ma UV machines are not dictator that ink. I raised it because the under was Zimbabwe as well. I raised it in Benura, and then I was told that ZEC didn't have enough money to purchase those machines. So it was not a problem here, ZEC, it was a problem here, politicians. I escalated it. Kuna Secretary General then Angaribiti. It turned out, I thought it was only for Bindura, it turned out that the whole country, Yanga Isinachi machine, the ink. My question was, what's the purpose of having the ink? Kanamusi, when you don't have the methodology to detect it. So that's one other thing, and they used it in 2013 successfully. Multiple voting in the Makawana, passing of people around. Proxy voting. You find good my postal votes here, right? That's where the problem is. Especially ku security, ku army, where there are no polling agents there to monitor them. And there are they are not even international observers. So you've got that problem. Ballot, and then we have got ballot box stuffing. This has been used by ZANU PF before. And then the group or family voting. Now imagine, do ya chief here. You got the chief anonzimira ni wako. And the people problem they got vanhu vananga vatoitwa coach dikudhara and vachityka kuti vote yangu is no longer secret. And ananga itokuzo paucha vote yatopaziva. So that again is another form rigging. And then assisted voting. Takawana vamwe, even my teachers, even my headmaster itaura kuti handiko kunyora. For fear, we are going to assist you because we don't trust that you are going to vote for ZANU PF. So that is another way ZANU PF has also been using to rig the election. Now, there's another one which came up, and today we have got the evidence to that. There are multiple ballots. You're going to panopiwa ma ballot papers back. Where ZANU anavapua 5-year president, 5-year MP, 5-year councillor, right? They are same papers. Oenda box mwe anonga ariwega. But we managed, we managed to apprehend one kubindura. The police yanga iripo, the person was arrested, paperwork was done, but no action was taken for that person. Obviously, that was not an isolated issue. So you've got that. And they used it in 2013. Now, let's go back to current situation at T9. I think you've realized tinema issues yokuti more about 30-40 people are being registered at one address in cities, in towns, right? That is a form of rigging. Then some of those, we have actually visited them to verify whether those people, they live at that house, only to find the owners of that house, they've never heard of those names and they don't live there, right? We have seen also some of the people who appear on the ballot paper or on the ballot on the voters roll. Sorry. For example, Oku bed bridge, 141 years. How on earth do we have 141 registered to vote in the 2018 election? We had Command Darwin North. We had about 21 in one village. 21 people were serving 120 years. Very 21. That's in one village, and it's one constituency. 120 years. Very about 21. So these are clear strategies for ZANU PF using ZEC to rig the election. The other, the lack of transparency in the printing. Yes, of course, Fidelity, and they invited my representative for political parties. Right? But people were barred from inspecting, from coming. They were only allowed 10 meters away from the printing press. And they didn't manage to lay their hands on some symbols as the original arrangement. So yes, these are some of the irregularities that we've already captured, and we are protesting. But we know that ZEC itself, na Chigumba already is, you can see that Muna Arvita used in ZANU PF, and he's saying no changes will take place until after the election. What's the purpose? Yokutipa voters roll to inspect it when irregularities cannot be sorted out between now and the election. So yes, DJ, so that this is our greatest disappointment as we prepare for the 30th elections this month.
All right, Aywa. Thank you so much. Some of the
sorry, what was there in 1 minute? Can I just allow me just to share Zimbabweans? Next week on Tuesday, I'll be going to Parliament on behalf of MDC. Have been invited to review the application of Zimbabwe to rejoin Commonwealth. So MDC will be represented.
Okay.
I'll keep you updated.
You keep us updated, and next Thursday maybe you can give us a feedback of the proceedings there.
Yes, I will.
Yeah, thank you so much, Wapepe, for that. Right. Mkoma Jeff, ku Birmingham, Israel. Yeah, Mkoma Jeff, I mean, when I posted this on our on social media there, you said you've got some information that you'd like to share with people on how the vote is being rigged in Zimbabwe. What information have you got for us?
I will share with you my experience in the election year 2000, where I was involved as with my brother who was standing in for Nembudzia in Gokwe. What we did was a day before the election, we went to Registrar General to Makombe building. Tichimba Tanot, we want to register the names of our polling station agents Then we're told, no, you can't do it here. You need to go to the district office, Yeku Nembuzia. So we traveled overnight to go to Nembuzia because the election was on the morrow, on the next day. Hoping the first thing which we do on the day of my election voter, we're going to quickly register our agents and transport them to the different polling stations. When we go to the office in Nembuzia, we were told that actually the registration is done at Makombe building. So we had to make our way back to Makombe building. Then we registered, then came back. So we only were able to put our agents on the second day of the voting. The first day, it was just ZANU PF agents there. So you can imagine, right? And you're talking about an area where 3 months before the election, we were totally barred from entering that constituency by Mnangagwa, July Moyo, and Frederick Shaba, because they were protecting Flora Buka, who was the ZANU PF candidate they were campaigning for. So you can imagine what they did on the first day. Madiro Chayo. Yeah. So these are some of the technicalities which ZANU PF puts into place in order just to disenfranchise people, and in the meantime give themselves an opportunity to do whatever they want to do, right? And I'm saying this place, we could not enter the constituents to campaign 3 months before the election. We could not get there. We had to talk to some other friends of ours who had a small plane in Kadoma. Then we had to go to the flyers. That's the only way we could get information in. Otherwise, it was just a no-go on area. And our guys were telling us that when Raleigh address na Mnangagwa na July Moyo na Frederick Shaba, they actually said, tukafana tumena sango kuti mamota ari mundingirikira ari muhapwa but tinongotuputitsa atone basa rese. Right? Yeah. So these are the guys we are dealing with, and these are the guys who are now telling us to go on a new dispensation, let bygones be bygones. And this is the same guy who actually admits that he went to Mugabe after Mugabe had been beaten by the late MT, and he said, no, we will make you win. And you know what happened after that.
Okay. Wow. Zvakaoma nekuti tinongodzwa vanhu vachiti kuri kurigwa, so it will be interesting kunzwa kune vanhu nhasi their experiences and what they really know of how the vote is being rigged to Zimbabwe. Thank you so much, Mkoma Jeff, for that. Regained pana Mkoma Woolbet. I know this is one of your favorite topics here. A lot of my listeners were saying that Mkoma Woolbet would love this topic. I wonder why the people were saying that you would love this topic, Mkoma Woolbet.
Well, I think our elections have never been free, fair, and credible, because ZANU PF has been able to rig the elections so that the result is already predetermined. I think probably the best example of ZANU PF rigging was 2008, because two interesting events happened there, distinct events. The March one, this is the one where the voting was done in March, and then ZANU PF would not declare the results, and they held back the results for 6 weeks. Now, I mean, anyone with any imagination can begin to question, how can you spend 6 weeks counting less than 4 million votes? It's ridiculous. And remember, the counting actually that year had been done in each polling station. So all they had to do is add up and announce the results. But they held it back for 6 weeks. And by Mugabe's own admission, that Tsvangirai had won 73%. And the 6 weeks was spent in tampering with the figures, so that it was watered down to 47% to allow the runoff. And just to emphasize that point, remember this is the year when Mai Mujuru had her Boram Sango, Operation Boram Sango. Mugabe has admitted that there was a problem with Operation Boram Sango. And if you look at it, you say to yourself, after that, the 6 weeks recount, Mugabe's vote was 43%, Tsvangirai was 47%. So in other words, we are saying Mugabe is acknowledging that there was the problem of Operation Boram Sango, which only contributed to 4% difference in the votes of the two candidates, which is ridiculous. So definitely something happened there. And then if you look at the runoff, the violence was blatant. That is vote rigging. If you are going to intimidate people to vote for candidate A instead of a candidate of their choice, that is part of the vote rigging. And that is one of the things that at the present moment in 2018 and this year again, they are doing what they call harvest fear. In other words, they are reminding the electorate that if you don't vote for ZANU PF, what happened in 2008 will come back. And if you live in the rural area and these people tell you that, you'll be very naive to think I can dismiss it. So that is one of the fundamental problems. And I think after 2008, for any Zimbabwean, as far as I am concerned, to start disputing there's no vote rigging in Zimbabwe, I think it's just refusing to open their eyes to see the facts. That even SADC saw that and they refused to accept Mugabe's victory in 2008. AU refused to accept the results. The Chinese were quiet. They didn't say anything. So but the whole world said no, not free and fair elections. And that is why ZANU had no choice but to go into the GNU. So that is the basis on which we are working. And from that point on, to say you can hold free and fair election when ZANU PF has got powers to do all those things, it's ridiculous again. That's why the GNU was all about implementing democratic reforms to take away ZANU PF's powers to rig elections. This election, one of the things, I'll just mention one way ZANU PF is rigging this election this year. Look at the biometric voter registration system. We were told that we're going to register 7 million people. The decision to go into this biometric system was made in 2018. So by the time we finished the 2018 elections, we already knew that next elections will be using this biometric voter registration system. And therefore, then the voter registration should have really started at the very latest, January 2015. But it didn't. They delayed it until last year in September. And then initially they said 4 months to register 7 million people. That is impossible. That is impossible. You cannot do that. And in the end, even after they extended it by 1 month, they managed to only register 5.3 or 5.5 million people. And therefore then, nearly 25% were not given the opportunity to be in the voters' roll. And that is part of the vote rigging. Because those people, even the Constitution, if you read it, it clearly says ZEC must give the electorate the opportunity to register. And if you rush it, you're not giving the electorate the opportunity to register. Then the second point, because of the delay, is they failed to produce a clean, verifiable voters' roll. And I think I said it on this program, that they will never produce that before the nomination day. And that is exactly what happened. Nomination on the 14th of June happened with no voters' roll. You are supposed to be nominated by people who are in the voters' roll. How would you know somebody is in the voters' roll unless you have got a copy of it? And if you fail to produce a copy of it, you expect the candidates to know that somebody's in the voters' roll. And to make the situation worse, there are courts who presided over the nomination itself. The judges themselves knew one of the things that they will be checking is that if Febe is coming as a prospective candidate, he must be nominated by 100 people. And they will check in the voters' roll that, yes, those people who nominated him are in the voters' roll. If they were being honest, they would turn around and say, Febe, did you have the voters' roll? No. So how would you have guessed somebody's in the voters' roll? Some people refused to submit their nomination in this on the nomination day because they did not have 100 people who were in the voters' roll. Some of them may have registered, but they wouldn't know registering doesn't mean you're in the voters' roll, as we well know. So that is one of the things that they are using. So I think some of them Pervez mentioned, and I'm sure some of the people will mention some of them. So these elections, it's impossible to say they're going to be free, fair, and credible when you've got all these serious anomalies in them. And that is why I personally have argued on this program that people should not have gone into these elections without implementing the reforms to make sure that those irregularities are ironed out. You should not have to struggle to be able to register your vote. This result will be totally meaningless. You are going into an election without even a voter's roll. How do you know who is voting? How do you know that the person who voted is entitled to vote? How do you know that the person who voted voted only once? That is the sort of thing that you're saying to yourself. It's nonsense that you're going into an election under those conditions.
All right. Thank you so much, Mkoma Wilbert, for that detailed explanation of how you feel that vote is being rigged there in Zimbabwe. But let me hear from Mkoma Benford as well. What's your perspective, Mkoma Benford, on how the vote is being rigged in Zimbabwe? Is it being rigged at all? This is just a myth.
My DJ Sodza. I think this is a myth.
Okay.
Let me explain myself. Ndinotanga counter the argument that has been propagated in Wilbert for a long time about the 7 million potential voters vakanga vakatargetwa neZEC. I've asked him personally, could the 7 million figure provide one? It's a figure that most likely came from ZEC itself, meant for planning purposes. ZEC had to budget for registering my voters, and they need to start that by justifying the amount of money they were going to request from Treasury for their activities. That is based on demographics. That's how probably they came up with the 7 million. Okay, it's an estimate, and usually you overestimate. Okay, to then say they registered 5.6 million people, and therefore they are deliberately leaving 1.4, and therefore it's rigging. I think it's that's a very naive kind of reasoning. Nowhere in the world, Wilbert, can you have 100% registration of voters. Munoma America, for example, I can go to the post office and register, okay? But you still find 30% of Americans are not registered to vote, okay? Because they are not interested in voting. They don't want to vote. So there's no way you can get 100% registration of voters. That is the first point. I want to clarify in a little bit. As for some of the points that were raised by both Vapfeve and Jeff, if you just look at the process of voting and how it's done in Zimbabwe, okay, you find that those points will just fall away. I'll give you an example. On voting day, you are going to have my agents. You have election monitors, okay? Royal and election agent, Vapfeve knows that very well. Uno kaunda, a tally of people who are walking in, ballots. Okay? Zvavari kutaura kuti umwe munopiwa 5 umwe unopiwa 10. At the end of the day, it shouldn't matter because as an agent, you've counted the people who walk in, votes, and you have that number. When you count those votes, you agree with what you have. Then people who walked in and were given ballot papers, those numbers should translate into my spoiled votes. It should translate into my votes, Emma candidates. If that number yamatanga nayo yoyo is less than the total number you're going to get, then my agent will not agree and sign to the final tally of votes. So that takes away nyaye staffing ema ballots. It takes away nyaye kuti an individual unopiwa 5 votes because you have that disagreement, and on that basis, as an agent, you will not sign my results. So that takes away all that. It also takes away nyaye busing of my supporters. Can asiri our voting system is on a polling station based. So if your name is not there, tikakubasa from Mount Pleasant or Gender Mbuya tikakisa from Mount Pleasant, your name will not be there. If your name is there, then we have bussed you to the right place, and therefore you are an eligible voter. So that should again fall away. Saka, the other point that Wilbert mentioned is ZANU PF will tell people kuti tinokurovaisha varakata 2008. In other words, Wilbert is saying we can only have a free and fair election in Zimbabwe if ZANU PF is not contesting, which doesn't make sense. Because even if you bring AU, even if the election is run by SADC or United Nations, how do you take away that fear factor from my voters? Because ZANU PF will be there. And underground, you can't control what they're going to tell people. So it is nonsensical as far as I'm concerned to say we can only have a free and fair election if ZANU PF is not participating, because it's their legal right to participate in my election in Zimbabwe. So long story short, DJ Sodza, what we need to realize is ZEC is an independent body. This notion that it is running elections on behalf of ZANU PF is nonsense. You had the MP, the President Chamisa himself, MPC. He participated in interviewing some of the commissioners, and he even said he was satisfied with their responses during interviews, and he feels that they are now behaving otherwise. So he participated in putting these commissioners, and now that he sees that this election could be swinging in the wrong direction in terms of them losing, he's starting to cry foul. Anyway, but the message here is what all these people are saying. Lastly, point there, Jeffy, I wonder if any of my panelists would remember when was the last time Yaka ran election in Zimbabwe over 2 days. As far as I know, from 1995 to 2012, all my elections were in 1 day, and the results are counted there on the polling station. Onamirwa pa door pa polling station. Could anybody, even member of the public, can come and see the results there? So I can't remember when it was done. He was voting over 2 days in Zimbabwe.
All right. Okay. Thank you so much, Mukoma Benford. You're saying that there is no vote rigging in Zimbabwe whatsoever. It is a myth. But I mean, for them not to announce the results of the elections in 2008 for so many days like that, didn't you feel there was a bit fishy there?
Okay, DJ Sodza, that is evidence that they don't rig, because they had lost the election.
Okay.
That was a coup. That was a coup that took place in 2008. It wasn't rigging. If they were rigging, then there was no need of not announcing the results, because they would have announced the results when they would have won. In that case, they had lost the election, and they did not announce the results because they lost. So that was the first coup that took place, and it was the army probably ndio bakatanga wanachiwenga atiri kutaura. That was the first coup. So let's not confuse those issues. There are two different issues.
Okay. Aiwa, thank you so much, Mkoma Benford, for that. Regainende pana Mkoma Tawanda, Chief Sose. Chief Sose, do you agree na Mkoma Benford there is no vote rigging whatsoever? The most evidence to date that we have is what happened in 2008 where MDC clearly won. That means these guys have got no power to rig.
Mkoma Benford vanotaura semunhu weZANU vangakuti vari pabasa. You know, everyone knows that elections are rigged in Zimbabwe. In 2008, countries like that are independent, like Botswana, they clearly told the world that those elections were fraught with irregularities. You know, so we have seen it firsthand. In my experience to Masingo, I was a teacher there, and in out of some polling agent, I was supposed to be a polling agent. Kumchakata. Ndakatiza, ndokutakata to threaten one of our veterans. Mimi, dimma teacher, dimurukutaura nezve MDC kumareserve. Makuya kuzomira pano. Muda kubira ZANU PF. Aitonzi da kutobira ZANU PF tikatandaniswa. Kanowanda musango, unenge usina mota, unenge usina chii. Takapedza uswero wese tiri musango. Kuzobuda muusiku, takutofamba kuenda kuti tiwane chekufambisa kuti tidzokere kumasvingo. Saka zvese izvozvo zvakaitika panzvimbo 1. But if you look at it, it's widespread. The fear that most people were talking about, the harvest of fear, you know, it's there. It was there. The people who were there in 2002, the people who were in Zimbabwe in 2008, they saw how the harvest of fear, how the element of fear was used by ZANU PF. I mean, how many people died in 2008? Over 200 people. Vairowa, vaipondwa, vaitananiswa, vaita sei, 200 people, vachifa in one election. And then someone is saying elections have always been free and fair. Hakuna zvinotoitisa hasha kana kuchiona vamwe vanhu vanenge vachiuya vachitaura zvavari kutaura izvozvo. And then we have also seen firsthand what the chiefs do. Munotomiswa raini indaizviona firsthand. Muchief anobva sabhuku anobva nevanhu vake kumusha votomira raini kunzi iwe sabhuku anenge ari kokoko pamwe ngirikini vamwe vacho vanomuteera vari kumashuro. Saka vanhu vanenge vatoudzwa kudaro muri kuvhotera ZANU PF. And the fact yekungoti sabhuku ari pamberi mumwe wake ari kumashure, it just drives the fear of God into those villagers. You know, they will not get in with someone in the ballot box, but just the fear that has been instilled in them will ensure that they vote for ZANU PF.
So, Chief Murukuti, maybe intimidation can be regarded as vote rigging.
It's part of it. It's part of the system of rigging election.
Okay.
It's part of it, yes. And then we have issues, the bigger issues that we have been having, the issue of the voters' roll. That every election we have had to fight with ZEC. We thank God this time around that we have eliminated issues like that had to do with busing people. But going back, that was another big element that was used by ZANU PF. But now, because of biometric voting, biometric registration, the element of busing has been eliminated. And the element of people voting twice has also been, eliminated. But there are also still other issues that are beginning to come up. I think they are also, seeing that the ideas, the ways that they've been using have become outdated. And they are coming up, with more with other ways, better ways of rigging. The issues of intimidation, violence, use of chiefs and the Nemasabu, it usually works in the rural areas. And now let me tell you what also works in the urban areas, and which is something that we Zimbabwean people can control ourselves. But we fail to do that because ZANU PF also has its hand on that. And I'm always talking about that. That ZANU PF, in a way, encourages voter apathy. And I'm telling you this, I know we take it lightly, but it's a very big tool that ZANU PF uses. Like I was saying last week, we had over 5 million people who registered in 2018, but only about 4 point something million ended up going to actually go and vote. So we have almost 2 million people who registered to vote, who ended up not going to vote. Can you imagine what difference those 2 million people or those 1.8 million people would have made if they'd actually gone to vote? Why did they not go and vote? ZANU PF encourages voter apathy. It intimidates people that people will not go and vote. Some will end up not going to vote. They come up with stories like in 2008, 2002, they would be, by now we'll be having, newspapers, the Herald will be awash with stories to do with Morgan Tsvangirai, to do with his private life, to do with his connection with the white people, with the Americans, with the British, that he wants to sell out the country, that he wants to redress the gains made by the land redistribution program. All those things, they get into the people, and people will end up saying, why are we voting? What's the difference? How can we vote for someone who is selling out the country? And so you have quite a number of people who are discouraged. Even now, as I'm speaking, in this small group that we have, there are some people right now who will be saying, why should I go and vote? Who is there to vote for? Kamisa akafanana na Mnangagwa. Kamisa is ZANU PF. All those kinds of stories, they end up getting into the people, and people end up not going to vote. And some of the stories, most of those stories are created by ZANU PF or by people who are planted by ZANU PF. And unfortunately, we fall for that. So yes, as much as ZANU PF has a hand in that, but I also think that it's self-rigging. We also rig ourselves. As Zimbabwean, we rig ourselves, out of winning an election. Because a million people can make a difference. So this is the reason why even when we come on radio, I always talk about massive voter education, that we need to educate the people. We need to continually talk to the people and encourage people, not to look at what is happening now, but to look at the bigger picture, to look what we want to achieve as Zimbabweans, what we've been trying to achieve the past 37 years, that we want ZANU PF board. Let's forget about everything. Let's do what we have to do. That's why even when we're talking about what was happening in MDC, we will be critical of what is happening in MDC. We were critical, I was very critical of what Kamisa did. But I was also saying I will not abdicate on my citizen duty to go and vote. And when I go and vote, I will still vote for MDC. I will still vote for Nelson Chamisa, because he is the best foot forward to remove ZANU PF. So this is what we should be doing as Zimbabweans. And just to add on to that, talking about Nelson Chamisa, I should definitely, I like calling a spade, and takanaka mukaka urungwe. The stance, the bravado at which he is taking on ZANU PF with regards to electoral reforms, with regards to these elections, should be commended. This is what we wanted, and yes, people I know will be saying it should have been done a long time ago. But there is a lot that was done by the opposition. There is a lot that we also did as Zimbabweans. You know, way back last year, doing the NERA rallies, telling people about the voters' roll and everything. And now you're seeing everyone is talking about the voters' roll. Everyone is aware that there are reforms that had to be done. It was because of that work that was done by people last year. So it's not like the opposition was not doing anything or people were not doing anything.
Okay.
So what he's now doing now is putting pressure right to the finishing line. And even if they are going to announce that MDC will still be taking part a week or two before, it's still okay. But it is good for the alliance or for the opposition to let the world know that things are not okay in Zimbabwe. It's good for the alliance leaders to let the people of Zimbabwe know that they are going into these elections under protest, you know, and they have to try and do everything and get the little that they can get from ZANU PF right now. And they are putting pressure on them. The way they are doing is the right way to go about it.
Okay, Aiwa, thank you so much, Chief Soshe. I know a lot of people are joining radio right now. You might want to know what are you guys talking about. We are just discussing a little bit more about vote rigging in Zimbabwe. Does it exist at all? And if you are saying that it does exist, give us the details of it, or some of the situations that you encounter that, you know, you feel that is form of vote rigging. You know, we've had a lot here. Really, this is just a myth which is there. There is no vote rigging, but the majority of the people on the panel are saying that there is indeed vote rigging. Tetero zipiri kukonai na mkoma timkoma niko Mohammed Mohammed is here.
Right.
Is it Mohammed or Makati Mohammed?
Yes, right.
I'm right, right?
Mkoma Muhammad, Mkoma Mark,
yes, Mkoma Mark, that's what I wanted to say, right? Mkoma Mark, Batai Makadaro. Regarding Mkoma Mkoma Teach. Mkoma Teach, could you say Kulandano? Which side are you on, Mkoma Teach? Is there any vote rigging in Zimbabwe? Yes or no? And if you are saying yes, can you give us some details?
100% in coma. The first thing that we need to first ask ourselves is what is it that is called vote rigging? And vote rigging is the manipulation to gain an unfair advantage in an election. Whether you are doing vote buying, whether you are stuffing ballots, or whether you are intimidating people, that is vote rigging. People are expecting a mathematical vote rigging. In Zimbabwe, we've got all the ingredients of vote rigging. From intimidation, we have it. Manipulation, we have it. Exploitation of people like traditional leaders, we have it. The actual administration of the election by a very partisan electoral body, we have it. We must first of all accept this thing that Mugabe and Trangirai agreed on the ZEC chairman. I don't know what story is being played by Nkoma Benford that Chamisa was part of the people that interviewed the commissioners. I really would like him to share a link on that. When was these interviews? How were they conducted? Where? By who else other than Chamisa? That sounds a bit false. But what I know is that under the GNU, the principals, which Mugabe and Morgan Trangirai actually agreed that it was a trending news item for a week or two. You know, when others in the opposition, MDC, were questioning the integrity of Rita Makarau or her impartiality. And Morgan Trangirai had to actually issue a specific statement to say he had confidence in her. Not the rest of the commissioners and the main body that runs the election, which is the administrative secretariat, which is staffed by people from the old electoral supervisory commission, the ESC, which is people from the JOG Army, CIO intelligence, and the civilian component run by Salai Gwana. He's still there as the chief elections officer. So we cannot say after the 2013 new constitution, ZEC was actually restaffed. It was not. Nobody was fired. No new people were employed. If anything, they actually increased the number of pro-government operatives within it. That's what has happened. So the issue starts with manipulation, exploitation, vote buying, intimidation, and all those ingredients are there. But the most critical part is what Mkoma just said, is that in some remote outposts, the opposition have no local agents that are independent. Most of the opposition personnel that are seconded as polling agents are usually actually people that are either manipulated to be complicity in the stuffing of ballot boxes, or they're actually ZANU PF agents that would have been following opposition politics so that they get appointed. And I say this as a matter of fact, that ZANU PF does that. Have people that are its sympathizers join opposition for the sole reason to be appointed as polling agents, especially in remote rural areas where the opposition would not have the same freedoms that they would have in numbers as they have in urban centers. So vote rigging actually happens there, right there. Following proper law, as Nkoma Benford was explaining very well, the truth of the matter is that ZANU PF uses the law to rig the elections. That's what happens. They use the law to rig they rule by law. So at the end of the day, that's what they do. That's why ZANU PF is always keen to make sure all the appointments are of their own sympathizers, people that are not as independent as is desired or envisaged by the letter and spirit of the law in the constitution that says we demand independent commissions. There's not a single commission right now in Zimbabwe that meets that criteria to give us as citizens the confidence that it is independent. If you look at the arrogant wafflings by Justice Chigumba to say only quake or the death or whatever, she's completely shutting the door. She's not even allowing dialogue to assure the people she's supposed to be working for. She's supposed to be working for us citizens. And when we raise concerns, she's supposed to be sympathetic and go out of her way to assure us what we get.
We are not apologetic to tell you that, look, we as members of the we are not apologetic to tell you that, look, we as members of the founders of the AAG as ZANU PF members, founder and empower veto action and with me there's no middle lane, and I'm Philip Chiangwa. Those that have come to AAG have succeeded, and there's no apology about this movement. It has transformed lives of people who used to be nobodies to somebodies, from zero to hero. So for me, if you want some sort of waste of time, way back in 1990, that if you are not ZANU PF, you won't be rich. So I don't want people wasting my time.
This is a disclaimer. The opinions expressed by contributors during radio call-in shows are solely those of the individual callers and do not reflect the opinions of Zimnet Radio, DJs, presenters, managers or administration. Listeners are encouraged and advised to seek the services of qualified professionals for their personal problems.
In touch with the best online station, Zimnet Radio.
Join DJ Sodza and his informative team live every Thursday at 9 p.m. UK time, discussing Zimbabwean politics.
Make the whole world know about your business. Advertise with Zimnet Radio. Email marketing@zimnetradio.com. ZimNetRadio.com.
Aha, Sisney, Maria Zimbabwe, thank you so much. I don't know what's going on here, but but anyhow, I think what we got to do now is go kuna Mukoma Mark kurise kwa Americanas.
Takapedza independence yevarungu vakafara yedu ichauyawo musi wa31 July, I hope.
Musi wa 31 July yenye ichauya. Imimi Mukoma, I don't know, looking at Zimbabwe elections since makatanga kuvota ku Zimbabwe in 1980, have you ever thought kuti there's a vote rigging going on?
Yes.
You think there's vote rigging there?
Yes, and from the broad definition that everyone is saying, I mean, because to me, vote rigging means completely something different from what everybody is saying. So, but accepting their broad definition, then there is vote rigging. But in the absolute sense, to me, vote rigging means that somehow you take my vote that I voted for Chief Soswe and you say I voted for somebody else. That's vote rigging to me. Some broad field here, intimidation, apathy, that's propaganda. And if we are going to put propaganda in the column of vote rigging, then I said this before, then Zimbabwe and probably most African countries are not ready for a democratic process, because propaganda inindikaenda musi wevoting kumusha vazukuru vangu vese vanotovhotera wandinovaudza kuti munhu wedu ndeuyu. That's our custom. So if that's vote rigging, then so I don't know. I think now also I have to tell you kuti even kuno ku United States we have voting exceptions, mistakes that happen. A paper is not read properly by the machine, or voter wacho wakaisa extra anakuisa nezviro pakanaka. So these errors once you have voting errors which are, below 5% of the total vote, people kind of ignore that and say, they are mistakes. So what I'm saying is there's no country with a perfect voting system. But if you take the general meaning or translation or definition of what I heard here, what you guys call vote rigging, then I don't even know why we are going to vote, because why we are going to the elections, because I don't know how you can eliminate people campaigning. Chamisa and Chief Soshe are saying that our purpose is to remove ZANU. Now, to me, that's vote rigging, because to me that's crazy. My purpose is not to remove ZANU. My purpose is to put a better government, remove poverty. If ZANU will say they will do that, I'll vote for them. But if another party just come and say our purpose is to remove ZANU, that becomes problematic for me. If you tell people, elections, the purpose for the elections is to remove ZANU. Come on, guys, that's rigging, right? So I'm just saying that this is a discussion with no end, because it seems like no one will ever accept whatever voting process is put. My expectations would be that if the system itself is reasonably acceptable, that's as far as we can go. As far as psychological games, propaganda, or how people campaign, that's another issue. If you think we are not ready as a people for that, then let's have another discussion.
So if I'm hearing you correctly there, you're saying that from your point of view, vote rigging is if I go and vote for ZANU PF myself, if I put my X on ED and suddenly someone change it to Chamisa, that's vote rigging.
Right.
Not someone telling me kuti sabhuku wangu anditaura kuti right Sodza, if you don't go and vote for ED mumusha mangu munomu unobva watama kugara. That's not vote rigging.
That's not vote rigging, because we can never control that. No one will ever know how I voted. You could tell me, Chief Sose can tell me now, Chatonda, Ndakautara and Chapamunda, just to vote for Chamis and Indoti. Oh yeah, right. But nobody will know how I voted. So that's the only thing I agree with Chief Sose, who is my brother, my friend, is that we do need voter education. I have a poster, by the way. Anyone who can prove that there's a party, whether it's ZANU, MDC, or any party that received some money or some help from George Soros or from the endowment of democracy from United States, I'll give him $1,000, because that's the biggest voter rigging and voter interference organizations in the world. So that's another issue. If you receive money from reactionary organizations like the Endowment for Democracy of the United States, formed by Reagan and headed by, what's his name, Brenham or something like, I can't remember. That's a CIA organization that only works for regime change in Africa and Ukraine. So most people don't know that. So if you know any party at all that received money from George Soros, and from the endowment of democracy, you give me those details and you have a check of $1,000, because those people should be disqualified from competing in Zimbabwe politics. Be it ZANU, MDC, whatever, because by now everybody should know who the enemies of Africa are. And if you don't, then you don't deserve to be a politician.
All right. Thank you so much, Mkoma Mark. Right. Sandaenda kuna tete Rose yako. I just want to read a little bit of contributions coming from people. You see, I tend to leave you guys to, speak what you want to speak before I read these messages, because it can become confusion. It can confuse people there. This one is saying that, okay, can I read that? Okay, let me read it. And Benford Anopenga Chete, how much is he getting paid by ZANU PF? This one is saying that, hello DJ, removing ZANU PF is removing poverty. So ZANU must go. That's not rigging. This one is saying that, hello DJ, I totally agree with Chief Sose. Chamisa and his alliance robust press conference should be commented. I hope other genuine opposition parties and their leaders will join the 11th Wednesday march. This is a Zimbabwe march for those who have the country at heart and not those who are personally gaining from the present status quo. And in my view, it's not an MDC alliance march, but of course led by the latter, who are showing leadership. I urge and expect to see the Mujurus, the Mangomas, etc. there, or just to support the march. I hope the MDC alliance is inviting all Zimbabweans and other parties. ZEC is attempting to lead and take Zimbabweans into a dark hole. That's another contribution coming there. Anything else to read there? Anything else? Right, I need to read this message. And I think he is in Australia or New Zealand, I'm not sure. But DJ, on your show, it would benefit if you bring some ZANU PF people on the panel, because it looks like everyone on the panel is just hammering ZANU PF. And what I did, I said to Mkoma Mandishona, please, Mkoma Mandishona, if you are in that or the hat of ZANU PF, please do come and join the show, and I'll give you platform to defend ZANU PF as much as you can. And if you are out there and you are listening and you think that yet it's a great party, please do join. And
Bedford is doing a good job of
yes,
that.
Make up your points here and tell us why you think ZANU PF is a great party for us. Tetelo Ziko America, welcome to the show.
Hello DJ, how are you? How's everybody doing?
I'm fine. I saw you on social media sending a lot of information about some of the vote rigging going on in Zimbabwe. Would you like to share that with our listeners?
Of course, vote rigging has been what ZANU PF operates on since the 2000s. They haven't won a genuine election in a very long time. I mean, it's pretty obvious they've been rigging for a very, very long time.
Have you got evidence for that?
Well, vote rigging, with ZANU PF and ZEC, the rigging starts way before elections even happen. I would say ZANU PF starts planning its election. I think they plan their elections like 10 years ahead, as far as I'm concerned. There's so many things that they do that involve vote rigging. Like, one of the things that we need to understand is, like what Wilbert was saying, voter registration began very late. And it only started after a lot of pressure and talk about why hasn't registration started? When is it starting? How are we doing it? When is it going to happen? There was a lot of pressure and a lot of talk. So they waited till the very last minute to even register. And even when they started the registration process, ZEC had not done any voter education. They'd done very little to nothing of voter education. So even when you saw that when they opened voter registration, there were not a lot of people going to the polling stations until people started getting pushed by different groups and some of the political parties saying, okay, you need to register, registration had opened. I even knew some people are very educated in Zimbabwe, and they think, have you registered to vote when voting started? And they didn't even know they had to register again. So I actually informed them, you need to go and register again. If you don't register, you can't vote because there's going to be a new voters roll. So even if you registered in the past, it's important that you go and register. So all of that, ZEC was not even interested in really educating the electorate or letting them know that there was a new system. Pavakazoita, Pavakanzi voter education, voter education. They had that funny commercial that people were like just unhappy about. It was like one commercial that they put out. They did things here and there, but really their goal was to make sure people they were surprised by the numbers of people registering. And then during the registration process itself, there was that form year residence and the VR9 form that people needed. Vangosna, who had to be filled out for residency because not everybody in Zimbabwe owns, property or something. Most people are renters. So what they were doing with the VR9 form is people would go to register and there would not be, the VR9 form would actually be missing. When people went to the polling stations. If they got the form, there would be no commissioner of oaths ready to certify the form. So the forms were missing. Sometimes the commissioner of oaths was not even there. And if you notice, Kuti, if anyone was reading, ERC actually did several reports. Tally. In the first registration phase, they actually tallied how many phone calls they received from people who were saying, I went to the polling station to register. There was no VR9 form or there was no commissioner of oaths when I got there. And they actually listed the areas. Like in the first phase, they listed with the townhouse, Budiro, Mount Pleasant, Mabuku, Chinoi University, Dzivarasekwa. There were no VR9 forms. ERC actually distributed 22,000 forms. So it's also with concerned citizens, we actually had a lot of forms printed that we actually started distributing through some people. Who were giving out the forms. Guess what ZEC did when we started distributing forms and political parties were distributing forms? They would change the form. The format of the VR9 form would change. So that it would be difficult. Now, I ain't on a form you're ready. So no, that's not the form. You're ready to register. They changed the form. And this is all part of rigging. Making things difficult. Making sure people don't understand the process. This is all part of rigging to marginalize the voters so that they don't have a lot of people registered. And I'm actually surprised that 5 million people ended up registering, and I'm impressed with Zimbabweans. But Zimbabweans were determined. They went and registered to vote. They would make sure that there is no commissioner of oaths. So you'd see different people now volunteering at polling stations, to make sure that they're there waiting to register people. And ERC actually wrote a document. Okay, they said in areas in the first phase. Went to Marlborough and Girls Eye, there was no commissioner of oaths. David Livingston, there was no commissioner of oaths. Glenlawn Shopping Center, there was no commissioner of oaths. Chinoi, there was no. So they listed all these things, and I was following because I was actually also tallying it and writing it down so that it would be in a proper booklet, so that we would all be following at some point. Kuti rigging yacho yakatanga papi. So this rigging is not something kuti chinu chakatanga ni zuro. No. This is something they start from early with their strategy. Ukaona ZEC, ukaenda pa website here ZEC. I would also always go pa website here ZEC almost on a daily basis. Because, last year I was very much involved in Zimbabwean politics and I was following. There would be days when the ZEC website would be down. Apo uda ku download my forms, uda ku download zvinhu zvakasiyana. And the website would always be down. Yaenda up for 2 days. Yodzokera up. I emailed them several times just to see if I could get an email back if I had questions. The email would bounce back because the email was not working. And you think here are people who are supposed to be running an election, who are supposed to be competently running an election. I went through the whole strategic document, a 10-year plan, I don't remember exactly. And one of the things they had listed was that they were supposed to have started registration at least 2 years before. By the time we got into 2017, they were supposed to be halfway through. But we hadn't even started, you know. So you wonder, what exactly were they planning to do? Registration, they didn't educate the voters. And then when they did open registration, they were making it difficult for the voter to go and to actually register. They were making sure VR9 forms were missing. They were making sure there was no commissioner of oaths. ERC actually listed political intimidation of villages. Vaka lista in phase 2. Birwa Ward 12, Murewa Ward 14, Nyanga Ward 13, Mutoko Ward 11, Nyanga Ward 13. The chief council, the ZRP were harassing people trying to register. You know, so there is a list of places where there was clear intimidation. Register. So already looking at, there was no voter education. Registration started late. When the registration started, instead of having all the equipment and tools that people need to register, they make sure it wasn't there. So Zimbabweans had to provide their own VR9 forms. In a determination, let us register. Let's just see what we can do to register. And then the other rigging taking place, their failure to conduct proper delimitation of constituencies. Why would ZEC not conduct proper delimitation of constituencies? The reason for that is because Vano riga through my polling station. If the polling areas are not quite clear, this is when they start creating my virtual polling stations where those fake voters that you see on the voter roll are placed with vote on this polling station and non-existent polling station. But those dead people you see on the voter roll don't actually need to go and put their thumbprint which is a vote. No, they just counted because there is my polling stations are not created for last minute, or it's not created if there is not enough people, you know, voter streaming. So they didn't even conduct proper delimitation. And then even during the narrow time when they were running there was a program that was being run. You have to check out my polling station areas. Nezek. Some narrow people discovered my polling station Zimbabwean ZANU PF. You know, and people are supposed to be voting in this place. That's part of intimidation. You know, and that was actually against the Electoral Act. It was clear in the Electoral Act 22. You cannot have a polling station at a political person's house. But these things were already there. And this was part of voter rigging at Tuputawa. Lack of proper delimitation. And then Kwanga Kune Zimba, that's why Famba is numbered properly. All those houses were being taken and placed into one area where people are addressed. Those are the people that know vote who are in a group that might register for security services. You know, and then those people end up watching ZANU PF. You know, so and then ZEC said we don't have time anymore to do proper delimitation. So the proper delimitation of polling stations was not even properly done. They're saying that proper delimitation will probably be done now in 2000 for the next presidential election. You know, so these are all areas of Kutichi, and then we have the whole BVR issue. We had the issue of the Lexington company, Yapiwa tender. You know, and then that's saying, oh, we don't even know where the storage is. All of this, and then the company that's supposed to be working Lexington actually belongs to Wanam Nangaga. You know, this, and it's a water company of some kind. It's not even really a company that has, you know, that has done anything to do with elections. And the company that was originally given the tender to work with Lexington was dropped last minute, and they said, oh, we were dropped. We don't know why that happened. You know, so this is ZANU PF and ZEC trying to control the whole process so they can rig in many areas. So, and then now I'm looking at the voters roll. I just want to finish on the voters roll. I have the complete voters roll. We managed to get the complete voters roll. You're finding that Zimbabwe has one of the highest number of old people in the country. Okay, we have people who are in there. We have we might have, you know, for our population, one of the highest numbers of centurions in the country, running from 100 years old to 140 something years old. In the country, you know what? I'm going to compile the list because I need to send this list to the Guinness Book of Record or wherever they record the number of people, and I'm going to send it to reporters because we need to find out, Kuti, Do we really have Mashonaland? You got 4,000 people, Centurions, Mashonaland provinces. Is it really real that we really have this many people at this age? You know, or is there something else going on? So the rigging takes place. There's going to be a free and fair election in Zimbabwe. That's hogwash. That's not going to happen. There's already too many anomalies. Election from the beginning, it's so difficult. It has been so difficult just to try and run proper elections or to try and get any reforms in Zimbabwe. That for someone to actually say there's going to be a free and fair election is a lie. And to someone say there's no evidence, I will gladly give them the evidence because I have been tracking everything. From day one, I'll gladly give Benford an argument if there's no rigging because it's there. And right now, I'm compiling every anomaly of the voters' roll. And I'm going to send it to everyone who cares to read. Every newspaper agency, every government. Everyone needs to know what is wrong. Because we need to understand, Kuti, there will never be free and fair elections in Zimbabwe.
Teterosi, so you're saying that you've managed to get the copy of the voters' roll. And you've seen that there are some people who are like 141 years old?
Yes, there was at least a person who was born in 1884 or something.
Still on the register, on the voters' roll. Does it mean this person is going to vote?
Well, I don't know. What I'm doing right now is I'm pretty much compiling a detailed booklet of this with a compilation of what we had done previously of all the other issues. And then we're going to work with people on the ground to go and check to see if these people are there. And then we're submitting this report to every agency we know so they know the truth about Zimbabwe. Because the lies have to stop.
Okay. Excuse me. Can I just add something that's really not true here? I'm sorry to see Teteros being so annoyed about finding old people and voters. Now, voters' roll does not vote. It's just it's nice to be able to purge the database of people who are no longer voting or who died or something, but it's almost impossible in any voter registration. You find what I call antiquated voters. Some of these people are dead, some of these people are not there, some of those people moved, whatever. But voters' roll does not mean that it's going to vote. That's a checklist where if I come to vote, you say, okay, Mr. Muhammad Ali, let's check if your name is here and if you registered for this election. And they check on the voters list. It doesn't mean that everybody on the voters roll is either going to vote or going to be allowed to vote or will come to vote. Voters roll is merely a checklist. Yes.
Can I say something?
Let's hold on. Let me answer you. For you. I think what you've got to remember here is that this voters roll we are talking about was the one that was started registering 14th of September last year.
Yes.
So
that's what I was about to say.
140 years old. Did they register since September?
Yes.
So if they didn't register, then how come they are in the voters roll?
Yes. Then we want to know did we combine the old roll with the new one? If that's the case, why was it combined? Why was it combined? Because this is supposed to be a brand new voters roll.
Well,
so if we have all these over 20-something thousand old people who are really old who registered in the last 8 months, then they are somewhere. Someone can find them. So there's nothing wrong with us verifying that these people went and registered. So someone will find them.
Right.
They will be there because they registered in the last 8 months.
Okay, Teteros, Patai Makadaro. Mukoma Mark, this is supposed to be a new voters roll where people started registering 8 months ago. Are you telling me a 141-year-old man or woman went and registered to vote in the last 8 months?
Now, all that is sensationalization. Until, as a computer expert, I would have to ask Sister Rose to say, one, how did you determine the person's age? Is there a field there that they put their age?
Yes. Yes. There's actually a date of birth on it.
Now,
I actually created a formula of how we're going to go through the anomalies. And one of the things I'm checking is the number of people, date of birth from the youngest to the oldest, and tallying them up. The number of people with the same date of birth, the number of people with the same registration address. I'm checking many different things. This is the voters roll that was compiled in 8 months. The last 8 months. These are all people who actively walk to the polling station as that claim to register.
Hold. Mark, go ahead.
Yeah. So what we do in that case, Ciciro's should do what we call a random check of those anomalies, right? And verify with the actual record one of that person with the, because if you find Muhammad Ali, I registered, and they say I was born in 1827 when they were supposed to put 1957, that can happen. I'm not saying, but all these are things that should be exceptions in the database. I can't vouch for the checking or the error exception of the database because I didn't test it. But those things, I mean, the fact that a voter who's over 100 is there should trigger something for the people who check the validity of the voter's roll to say this person should be removed or something like that. Because if we don't have those simple checks, then sure we do have problems. But we
well, like I said, I personally don't trust anyone. So as a citizen, I am doing my due diligence with other citizens. We're going to do our own check. We're going to do our own due diligence, which is extensive, like we've always done. And then we're going to support our report with documentation, like we've always done. And if those people exist, then they will be there. But if they don't exist, then we will need to understand where over 20,000 people over the age of 100 to 141 come from.
Teteros, but zviri kunzi nevamwe pano nyati kuAmerica uko hanzi, could it be in terms of those over 100-year-olds, could it be just a typing error?
It's not a typing error. I've gone through, I have the voters roll broken down by province, and I can tell you, Kuti, how many people between 100 to this age in this province. Now I'm going to go down to Ward to South. I'm going to be detailed. I'm going to be
Can I chip in there?
If there is no problem at all, here's the thing, DJ Sodza. If there is no problem, and these are genuine errors, we will genuinely show the errors, and we will make sure these people are removed from the voters' roll so that they do not vote on voting day.
Can I chip in them?
Can I just say something quickly if you don't mind? Could it be typing errors? Defeats the whole point of having this BVR. The BVR is supposed to ensure that once you've got such an anomaly, a data query should immediately arise. Immediately, before they even print and distribute the voters' roll. They should have done all these queries that Cicero is talking about.
You're missing the point here.
Don't you want to stop others from talking? I'm sure you have a valid point. Point young and equity, there should be a data query. That's the whole point of having a biometric voters roll, is to ensure that information is authenticated, conclusive. That's the whole point. Otherwise, there's no point of having the BVR at all.
Yeah, but the point is BVR and the date of birth. So that has to be entered in the computer manually by someone. And instead of entering 1950, you can enter 1905.
That's biometrics, Kamkoma. You're defeating yourself. Your date of birth is part of
No. Biometric captures my biological features.
Including that data about your date of birth to match that.
So date of birth end was on a computer.
kunoitwa nekuti munhu anouya nepicture yake yotorwa nechitupa chake passport.
Okay, can I say something? Can I say something?
The computer based on your picture.
Can I say something?
Hold on, Rose.
Okay.
Comma Benford, in Zimbabwe, there's a sequence of national registration numbers that will give you, if you know the codes, your district, the year your registration was done. That sequence national registration number is that thing. You know, inogona kuramba yakuti kuti munhu agone kunge aine 100 years aine registration number yakadai.
Can I say something?
One more point.
Okay, if Benford is okay, if we are going to agree with Benford, it could be an error, a human error or something, and they're over. Let's say based on right now, let's say okay, 20,000 something wrong there, and then I find 50,000 anomalies. That goes back to ZAC is an incompetent organization that cannot run a free and fair election. So if they cannot create a decent voters roll, then they're incompetent. If it's an error, it's either an error or rigging. If it's an error, then you're incompetent. If it's rigging, then you're unfair. So if it's either incompetent or you're rigging.
Okay, all right. Okay. Regai ndikubate muromo mese zvenyu. Sekuru maswera sei ku Birmingham?
Ndaswera muzukuru waswera sei ni maskati vana veZimbabwe.
Sekuru manonoka kuuya kushose.
Handiri kumaricho.
Okay. I thought kuti a pensioner that doesn't need to go kumaricho.
Ndo zvandifanira kunge ndichiita zvinenge zvakadzanya we. Totobvodzokera zvekumaricho kuti katani.
Puhai mari nevazukuru wenyu vanaticha vanokupai direct debit every month sekuru. All you have to say is ask. You don't need to go to work.
Vamwe ndirikutobhadharira school fees. Ivo uri kuti vanondipa mari, ivo vari kutokumbira kuti tibhadharirewo school fees.
Sekuru, is there any vote rigging in Zimbabwe? That's the big question we have here. And if you are saying there is vote rigging, have you got evidence for it?
Vote rigging iriko kwese haikona muZimbabwe chete iriko kwese asi yo muZimbabwe yakanyanyisa.
How do they do it?
Kubirira kuZimbabwe ngatitaure kuti vote kana titi vote rigging tiri kumboreva chii. Vote rigging it's a planned, deliberate effort on the part of the election board to produce a result that expresses the wish of the people who go to the polls. Saka tikangotarira izvozvo chetika tinofanira kuchiziva kuti chii chiri kuitika kuZimbabwe. kuZimbabwe kune rigging dzemitoo yakawandisa zvokuti ukada kungogumira pakuti rigging ndeye kutora vhoti yanhingi opa nhingi hazviziri izvo rigging. Rigging is a specialized field yevanhu vanobirira paelections to promote a preferred candidate. This can happen in so many ways. Saka first of all, rigging tofana kutanga kutarira kuti parigging ndipapi panotangira rigging, because process yeelection haitangi musi unenzi chinda yekunovhota ayo process yeelection inotangira kure kure. Saka in that process pane maareas anobirirwa kuti zvinhu zvifambe in favor of a preferred candidate. Let's take for instance nyaya yokuti voter registration yakaitwa yeBVR. Zvinhu zvekuti pane vanhu vari this old kuti haiziyo rigging. The proper rigging is vanhu vane same address within a constituency. Rigging iyoyo because vanhu haagoni kuita 200 per same address. How is that possible? Kana address ine vanhu 10 inenge yakutokisa kuti address 10 voters yatova ward yokuti inotoitwa polling station papapachipa
kokumba kwamusikavana handiti kune maroja.
But the point that I'm making is when you have that kind of numbers in a particular area, it is really, I gonna go to Anogarapo, but it's really by design, not because that's their physical address, no, but because for the purposes of creating voters for somebody. That's rigging. If you say it's not rigging, then tell me why would you put them in that address at that particular moment? You asking a guy. Ukachitarira nyaya ndanga muzukuru wangu Rosa achitoda kutochema kuti kune vanobirira vachisa manigiri hanzi chi vanoita chi ati vanhu vakatadza kuita delimitation. No, delimitation vanhu vakaita delimitation yakaitwa muna 2008 ne2013 gwendo guno vanhu vakariga maelections opposition because ndo vakati isa hatidi kuti kuitwe delimitation committee, toda kushandisa delimitation ya 2008. But delimitation ya 2008 yakanga yatoitwa ichiitwa inonzi gerrymandering, where constituents would protrude kana iri urban constituents yopota ichiiswa muruzevha kuitira kuti paite dilution yemavoters. Saka vanhu vakabirira vakaita rigging ipapo maparliamentarians opposition neruling party vaive muparliament because ndo vakatenderana izvozvo kuti hatidi kuti paitwe delimitation committee inoshandisa voters roll yeBVR. Toda kuti maconstituents anga ariko muna 2008 ndo otoshandisa, notwithstanding kuti manumbers evanhu awanda hereka kuti adzika mune imwe constituency. So as you can see ipapapo kapo vese vanhu vanofanira kunge vachitugamirira election vakatobirira ipapo because what is happening now is imwe constituency yakatizwa nevanhu muna 2000 vanga variko muna 2008 ndobva vatiza vakazonyoresa iko zvino kana vave vashoma vachine mapolling stations 2008 vezvo vachiri kungofungidzirwa kuti vakawanda sezvavanga vari muna 2008. Saka patocreatwa mukana wobirira nawo because constituency iyo ikadaidzira kuti ine vanhu vakangoenzanaka kuti vangongodarika iwe 2008 shoma shoma, munopruvha sei kuti havana kunge vaningirira vacreatiwa vanhu? So ikoko kubiridzira kwedelimitation ikoko kunotova nemaserious ramifications on the outcome of the election. Tikabva ipapo tikachitarira chinhu chinonzi violence mumaelections emuzimbabwe, in particular emuzimbabwe, violence ine a big say in what somebody votes for, whether I like it or don't, inayo because vanhu vanozikanwa kuti vanouraya, vanozikanwa kuti vakauraya, vanozikanwa kuti havasi kuuraya, ipart one inotozikanwa izvozvo. saka vanhu ivavo vakati kana ukasativhotera tokuuraya iwe uchiziva kuti wakatombouraya unoti ndozvidzivirira. Saka mukuzvidzivirira ivopo election yatorigiwa, because you are not expressing your wish, you are now expressing your fear. Election haifani kuvhoterwa nokuda kwokutya election. Munhu haafani kuvhoterwa nokuda kwokuti tomushaba. Munhu anofanira kuvhoterwa nokuda kwokuti ane zvaakamirira zvatinofarira. So kana ndamunga ndiri muzukuru wangu chatonda ariko achiti hanzi iyo zvakuti propaganda chichi kana violence haisizi hatingazviti, hanzi ati propaganda hatingagumi pakuti irigi. You can say that, but the reason is because the history of violence nema implications ayo mu Zimbabwean population in certain areas, nekuona kuti zvakaitika kune vamhondi dzacho chii zvinopersuada. Ukauchiziva kuti Matthew Febe akarohwa akaurawa, uyu Chiminya akaurawa, vanhu vakamuuraya vachizikanwa ndivana nhingi, vanhu vachouya voti unoziva kuti takamuuraya ka iketomuuraya futi kaukaramba vachivhotera izvozvo. Ozotarira futi vanhu vakapisirwa dzimba vavhota, kupisirwa dzimba weza vakanga vavhotera zvavakapisirwa dzimba dzacho kuti vakanga vasati kwakasara akavhotera ikoko akasapisirwa imba yake iko zvino akaudzwa kuzi iwe tokuziva wakangana kuti akapisa imba yanhinga, unonga kuti anonovhota zvaanga achida kuvhotera.
Aiwa sekuru zviri kunzikwa, saka imi sekuru hamuwirirani naMark ari kutaura iye kuti he believes kuti vote rigging is, imimi sekuru moenda mondovhotera Nelson Chamisa, but vote renyu robiwa ronzi makavhotera Mnangagwa, ndo zvavari kuti ndo inonzi vote rigging. Zvekuti hanzi mazonzi hanzi ukandovhotera nhingi chete tinokurova, vari kuti iwo haisi vote rigging.
Izvozvo handibvumirani nazvo. Never ever, I will never accept that, because ipo pano pandiri panapa ndikaudza kuti munhu andobhadharira school fees, ndikaudza kuti iwewe kana ukangonovhotera ukangonovhotera FDC, sorry, mangwana chaiwo chaiwo hauchatendi kuchikoro, kana kuti unopiwa school fees neFDC hauchada kuenda kuchikoro.
Right. Imakutoti yake vote rigging iyoyo
chaizvo.
Let me respond one thing here. Saka, we are fooling ourselves because we tinorwa takaviga tsvimbo. Right now ku ZANU PF neku MDC, kana nini ndandiri a councillor or MP or a party member, if I make it obvious kuvanhu veparty kuti mashoka munotaurawa election inini musi wekuvhota mangwana chaiwo ndinotonovhotera Mnangagwa because I don't like what you are doing. They will recall me. I'll be recalled from whatever position. ZANU will do the same thing. So you are telling me kuti that's what it's already in their books right now. Hakuna councillor we MDC kana we ZANU angataura publicly kuti nini vote yangu it's not going to be along the lines of the party. I'm going to vote for the opposition because of things that I feel. No one can say that. So if that's true, then we need to put a law in Zimbabwe that people are allowed to keep the way they vote a secret. And you apana anoziva kuti munhu anovhota sei, because if you make your vote voter MDC or ZANU zako zvino.
Right. Thank you so much. Zvandakuita panapa pane vamwe vari kunyora kunoku rikaichona kwanziko on the voter addresses, whose address did people in diaspora like Chief Soshe use when they vote? Chief Soshe,
ndakambopindura mubvunzo iwoyo. Hazvigone kuregister uri kuno kudiaspora because hatina diaspora. Saka unotoenda wotonoregister neaddress yako yekumusha kana uine property kana uine kumusha kwauri unongoshandisawo address yako iyoyo. Patizazombosambotaurwa vanhu vanga vasina maaddress vaishandisa maVR94. Ndo ranga riri basa remaVR94. Kana usina address unotora VR94 monyora zita rako ipapo ronodhindwa na commission of court and then waukwanisa kuregister.
Oh, okay. All right. Thank you. Tete Rosiani? Okay.
I just wanted to add a point to what Sekuru was saying there. I think one of the things that Rose was trying to emphasize with all these people, old age and so forth, is the chaotic state of the voters' roll. That is one of the reasons why many people were saying you should done the voter registration early and then clean it up properly and then have it properly verified. In this particular case, the verification was allowed from the 19th of May to the 29th of May. There's no way people can have 10 days, and we are talking of over 5 million people, to check that all their details have been entered properly. So the whole thing was being rushed, and now you come up with a voters' roll that has got so many mistakes, so many errors. That is part of the vote rigging, because if you are the one who handles that voters' roll and you know there are people who should not actually be in the voters' roll, then you can get somebody else to vote on their behalf. That is part of the vote rigging. The fact that you have a voters' roll that nobody knows who is in it, those people who are supposed to be in it, they find their notes, and those people who should not be in it, their names are in. You don't know how many people have been, their names have been entered several times. And in the past, in 2018, they also allowed people to vote who were not in the voters' roll, but had voter slip. And that allowed them to go and then multiple votes. And I think that is part of the vote rigging. That's why the proper voters' roll should be done, properly audited. Everyone can inspect it. Everyone can see who is on the voters' roll. And when the voting is done, you can also check who voted and be able to do an audit to make sure that those people who voted were the right people who were supposed to vote and that they voted only once. In this case here, that is impossible because you don't have a voters' roll. Even the document we are talking about, that Rose is talking about here, one of the issues that Chamisa was trying to present is, and which is a valid point, you don't know whether that is the voters' roll that is going to be used come the 30th of July. So you really are dealing here with working in the dark, and that it should not be happening. We should have a proper voters' roll that everybody agrees who is on the voters' roll and who is going to vote. That is part of the vote rigging we are talking about here.
DJ Sodza, can I chip in 1 minute?
Okay. A few minutes.
One point I don't clarify, we have people very good at amplifying things and making noise out of no issues. Centurions are Zimbabwe. We need to realize that most of the older people before 1930s and to a certain extent 1940s vakanga vasingazivi ma specific date of birth avo saka vaingoestimata kuzvitupa kuya vachipiwa madate. I can give an example of my grandmother. Vari kunzi chitupa chavo chinoshuva kuti vakadzvarwa 1910 because pavakaenda vachinopiwa chitupa, the person just estimated akati 1910. We have done our own calculations as a family tikaona kuti it's impossible. Very likely at the moment we are around 93, 95 years. Ndio inofana nge right age yao. But according to zviri pachitupa chavo zviri kushowa kuti vari 108 ndio iri kunzi ndio ma years avo, and this is normal because those years were estimated. The last point I want to make here, ndakaitaura last week, vanhu vakanditi hey, you make noise. We have heard vanhu vari kuti vari kucompile my reports that they are going to send it to these different agencies. What I want to tell Zimbabweans is we have people vari mu diaspora vari kubhadharwa nema organizations iwayo to put my falsehood so that they discredit my elections in Zimbabwe. The end result is things like Zidera will stay. Things like my sanctions that are imposed on our country will stay after this election. And it's going to affect our brothers who are in Zimbabwe. And those people will get their monies because one of my full reports are all the evidence.
Hey, Ben. Hold on, Rosie, hold on.
Rosie, hold on.
Rosie, didn't get him on Rosie.
Hold on. To people, Benford. Who is paying me?
Hold on.
Donating to Zimbabwe, not the other way around. You need to watch your mouth.
Okay.
So,
yeah, go ahead.
So that was one of the points I wanted. I wanted to make. It's one thing to show the voters' role in my problems and
it's lying.
It's another thing to show it's benefiting ZANU PF. You need to have that connection. If you deny people to register, then you need to link and say this benefited ZANU PF. Can I get multiple registrations? You need to make that connection to say in the end ZANU PF benefited. Okay? To simply say they are duplicates, they are multiple registrations without making that connection, I see rigging you.
You get paid by ZANU PF.
Right.
The rest of us have to help people in Zimbabwe who are struggling. It's something wrong with you.
Okay, hold on, guys. Chief Soswe. Yeah, hold on, Mkomatish. Chief Soswe wanted to say something.
Yes, maybe this will be my last word. So, I mean, it's all good, DJ, that we come here, we talk about the situation in Zimbabwe, we analyze it, these are the best analysts that I've seen, in Zimbabwe. But we sometimes we have to, put some action into our work. We want a free and fair election. We want a free Zimbabwe, but we cannot just do it by analyzing the situation in Zimbabwe and then sitting where we are enjoying the comforts of the diaspora. I will come to you, I'll make the same appeal that I did when we were doing the voter registration program, and I know this appeal that I'm making doesn't concern people like Benford. I am making the appeal to people who are part of the opposition and who want to see Zimbabwe getting free from ZANU PF, who want to see ZANU PF completely having nothing to do with Zimbabwe in 2018 or after 30 July. We did a lot, like what Cicero was saying. As concerned citizens, we printed over 900,000 forms for BVR for registration. But and people went and registered, and now we have over 5 million people who have registered. If we end there, we will be talking again the first week after 30 July. We'll be discussing why did people not go to vote. I am telling you, we are going to discuss this issue, we are going to discuss this subject, because only 3 million people, only 4 million people would have gone to vote. As I'm speaking right now, I was speaking to some people in Weza and Mondoro. There is no form, there is no poster for MDC Alliance. There are no flyers. People don't even know what's going on. So let's do something as Zimbabweans, maybe as Zimnet analysts and those who are also listening. Let's provide some voter education as concerned citizens. We are distributing about 10,000 flyers at every rally. 10,000 flyers at every rally that are being that are left with the chairpersons and some of the people who remain behind, after the rallies, to distribute to people so that they know where to put their eggs, they know who to vote for, they know the MP to vote for, they know the president to vote for, they know the councillors to vote for. Those things don't just happen. the struggle, you know, it's a partnership between the people who are on the ground, who are running around, and the people who are here, who are providing resources. You know, sometimes you don't even have to give anyone your money. All you do is to get someone to print some flyers in your own area, in your own constituency, so that they go and vote for the opposition, if you are for the opposition. So I'm just appealing to everyone here that let's do something about the issue of voter education and make sure that the people we are supporting back home know whom to go and vote for and know where to go and put their eggs.
All right. Thank you. Mkoma Tichi had a question.
I just wanted to ask Mkoma Benford two questions. But what was his point about my centurions? I didn't get his point. I could hear him say they were guesstimating my ages, and so on. But what was the point? I don't.
The point was, Rosie was surprised that there were so many centurions in Zimbabwe. So what I was saying is, it's not necessarily good they are all centurions, but it's because my ages were estimated. In some cases, they were overestimation that was that were made. That was the point that I was trying to raise. Saka ukaona kuti chembere dziri kumamisha kwenyu dzinongo dziri over 100 and you are surprised kuti vatusvika 100 here. Uyotaza zviri pachitupa chavo zvakanyorwa ipapo. That wasn't their specific date rokuti vakaberekwa musi wa1 July or 5 July. Rakangoestimatwa rikanzi 1910 to January. Because vanga vasingatozivi vaiziva kuti ndakazvarwa gore renyenzi kana kuti gore renyi, which didn't mean anything.
Mkoma Benford, maybe you didn't understand my question. It doesn't matter whether it is the real date of birth or not. These are their official records as for the purposes of legal administrative law. That's what we have to go by. So if the voters' roll has got them.
Yes, I agree with you.
Or not.
I agree with you on that one. The point is, hakuna macases akadero akawandisa. That is why even the opposition MDC, we have never heard vachita noise yemafacts akadaro, because they know that on the ground vanhu variko vane zvitupa zviri kuenderana nemakore iwayo. So that is why they are not making that noise. It's people like Rose. It's people like Rosie who are looking at the data.
Rose, please.
Hold on, Rose.
Benford, my point in the equity, we can't say opposition is not making noise. It's a new issue that is arising from the BVR voters roll. So we can't say there's anything to go by before. It's only emerging now. But the point young still remains, that is the legal age. What is the point?
No, that is the case. So you are not understanding my point here. The issue is mbuya vangu ina andinoona vari kunzi vane 108 years. That is the legal age. Saka Rose akatora data ripa voters roll. Ona kuti pane vanhu vari kunzi vane 108, vamwe vari kunzi vane 120. Wakuti va break Guinness records of Guinness record. Saka uri kuti Zek is lying.
That's what the official record says.
That is true. That is true.
You can't expect Rosie to start guesstimating like you did for your own aunt.
That is true.
If they exist, Benford, it's not a problem.
They are existing. That is why the opposition is not saying that.
We're still going to check. We're going to check to make sure these over 20,000 centurions exist. They're not centurions because their legal date of birth says they're centurions. So we're going to check. There's no problem with that.
Rose.
Right.
Benford, Usati opposition is not saying anything about it, because county opposition is not saying anything about it. Unoita imply kuti unoziva kuti opposition is.
They send a letter today to Zeki with 5 demands. Apana anything to do with the correcting voters roll or anomalies. They never mentioned that.
Well, but inini
hatikaziva zviri kutaurwa nana mai mujuri kuva tisati tanzwa anything. Hatingazivi zviri kutaurwa nana sekuru taurai muteki because hatisati tanzwawo zvakataura.
Yeah, but inini ndinotamba nevanhu vacho pamasocial media. Ukatarira munhu anonzi Wende anga atova nematweet anokwana kusvika 6 nhasi over that issue alone. Although riri benzi asi anga achingotaura zvake izvozvo. Ukatarira munhu anonzi Paul, anonzi munun'una waPaul Mangwana, unonzi Dick Mangwana, anga achida ane tweet dzeizvozvo. Ukatarira anonzi Matigari anga ane tweet dzeizvozvo. Maopposition isati tiri kutaura mamwe acho. Saka ndiri kungoti chete zvaungautaura zvakanaka zvokuti yes vanhu vakaestimatewa madata avo saka they exist vanhu vari kumunzi vari centurion asi ivo physically or naturally they are below centurion yacho level yacho. Izvozvo tinogona kuwirirana asi Rosa haasi kuchema izvozvo ka Rosa ari kuti muZimbabwe hamuna vanhu vakura zvakadaro saka chii chiri kugoitika.
Ndo zvatamudza zvekuti akaestimatwa asi kwamakore avo but ndo zviri pachitupa because akaestimatwa.
I have no problem. Their legal date of birth says that. So they exist. And if they exist, we will find them.
Okay, that's fine.
We will do our due diligence. There's nothing wrong with that.
Ndokumbira umbopindura zvataurwa naChief Shori nezvataurwa naBenford Maimash. Benford, opposition haisi chamisa muZimbabwe. Opposition dzakawanda muZimbabwe.
Yeah, sekuru haipapo ndinonzwisisa. You are right.
Yeah. The other thing is, muzukuru wangu Shoshe, we wanted to help, but kana chamisa achiti kana ukati ndoda kubatsira FDCT oti haubvisi mari yako ndevhara. Unobatsira chirudzi ukakonzerti citizen yeZimbabwe ukati ndoda kudoneta mari yangu konzerti citizen yonoti kuFDCT tine mari monzi hatidi mari yenyu muri vatengesi kwati gari vozoya nehweseri vachiti tibetserewo ndashayiwa posta tibetserewo ndani zvoreve izvozvo.
Sekuruka zvandiri kutaura inini ka hazvitombori neina chamisa kana kuti nafupe kana kuti namakoni kana kuti nani. All we are saying is let's educate the people in our constituencies. Let's educate the people we know who are going to vote. And the only way to educate them is to give them information. And the easiest way to give information with regards to that is coming up with flyers and posters.
Chimbomira muzukuru tovaeducata kuti chivoterai ani manje kana vanhu vacho vatoda kubatsira vari kukontesta vacho vachiti hatidi kuti udaro.
Aiwa totovaisa pastate house vasingade vachida sekuru. Kumoprinda poster.
Right. DJ, can I just ask a quick question there? Chief Sose, I think you really need to seriously look at the process itself. You are finding yourself in a situation where you are saying one thing, in the next breath you say the opposite. If you believe that the elections are being rigged, you have got to accept that there comes a point where you can say, if they are rigged to this extent, can I win them? Because there's no point in keeping on contesting an election that you know you're not going to win. Because by doing so, you actually give credibility to the process, although the result is already predetermined. And that's the problem.
But you can't fail an exam which is not written, man. But you can't fail an exam unless you write it.
Yeah, but you don't write an exam in nuclear physics when you have never done nuclear physics. We are in grade 1.
But if you don't write it, you never fail it.
That you cannot do. You know, if you find yourself in a situation, Changirai gets 73%, and then you are told they can recount it, and then they can water it down to 43%. You say to yourself, this election I will never win it then. Because if you
will bet on that line,
you will never win it.
We on that line and the
okay.
It's your position.
Okay, Ruben, let me, you mentioned my name, so let me respond. In a normal situation, in a normal country, where everything is done normally, what you are saying will be true. That you don't go for an election until the demands have been met, But in Zimbabwe, nothing is normal. You have to prepare for everything, because the Chamisa or MGC Alliance or some of the top leaders may boycott the election. But we have 20 other opposition parties. They will still go ahead and have the election. And that election will be endorsed because the 20 other opposition parties who took part. So yeah, we are dealing with the situation that we have. And we are dealing with it the best way that we can. That we continue to push for everything that we can get from ZANU PF. But at the same time, we don't go home and sleep. We have to prepare. We have to keep talking to the people. We have to make sure that people turn up for the polls. People go and vote. So we are not going to sit back and relax, waiting for the demands to be met. We have to continue doing the work.
All right, guys. Vakuru vakadhanzi chisingapereka chinoshura. Naizvozvo chirongwa chanhasi chinoperera pano. I know that Tetisari had some issues today with her network and equipment there in South Africa. We hope to have her next week on the show. If you have missed anything on the show will be available for you on podcast tomorrow. You can just log into our website, Zimnet Radio, www.zimnetradio.com, and you go on Men's Corner podcast, and the show will be there, and also for previous shows as well. Now, for some of you who cannot access our website for some reason or another, there's quite a lot of people back home in Zimbabwe who listen through YouTube. I don't know how they do it. They go somewhere where there is Wi-Fi and they download it on YouTube for some reason, and they can go and listen it at home. I don't know how they do it, but they do it. Tete Sali will be posting it on YouTube as well, so hopefully it will be there tomorrow, later on tomorrow. Right, what else to say? Next week, if you're out there, I know that discussion starts at 10 p.m. UK time, but next week, we are going to start at 9. Not discussion, but I've got a guest DJ who is going to play us music from 9 o'clock to 10 o'clock. You don't want to miss that. Apparently, it's he said that it is called My Journey in Politics from 1978 to 2018. What he will be presenting, I've got no clue. We'll see you Thursday next week. So make a date, come an hour early and listen to this guest DJ. It's my music.
Zimbabwe's finest radio station, broadcasting worldwide. Zimnet Radio, the people's choice.